Hi there, Chuck. Virginia Long is here. Kevin's here. Let's see. Hi, everybody. We'll go in here just a minute. I want to make sure that we get everybody on here who needs to be on here. Welcome to Chuck and Brett, Virginia, Kevin, and Jean. Kevin, you're actually already signed up for this thing.
Yeah, but you sent me the email anyway, so I thought I'd go ahead.
Oh, okay. Jean, Jean, you're signed up as well, aren't you?
I am, but I figured I'd hang out.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go, Chuck and Virginia. The people who already signed up are coming back for more sales talk from me, and I don't do any sales talk. So if you're expecting to be try to sell you on something, not going to happen. Just wanted to touch base with this group. This is the group that signed up for the newsletter to be kept apprised of whether Project 52 is happen again or not, and obviously it is. The reason I started Project 52, you guys, was because back in the day there was a way to be a commercial photographer that, you know, sort of a pathway that everybody understood, and that was you became a photographer, and then you got a job working for another photographer, and you assisted for 2, 3, or 4 years. And during that time, you built your portfolio and you learned a little bit about lighting and those kinds of things. But what you really learned from working with that photographer is all the stuff they don't teach you in art school or on YouTube. I mean, you can learn to light pretty well just from YouTube videos if you spend the right time with the right videos, because there's some bad ones out there too. I'm sure you've come across them. But the thing that you would learn would be how to work with a client, how to bid a job, how to change a bid, how to deal with the ever-present, and I'm sure some of you have heard this. If you're a commercial photographer, you hear it all the time. Well, since you're here and you have your camera with you, could you add these other shots? How do you deal with that? I mean, you don't want to go no. You don't want to do it, and then, you know, you bid 4 shots and then you end up doing 10. That doesn't work. But you learn that, how to shoot the layout, how to do production, all that kind of stuff. Don't learn it anywhere. There's no place to learn it now. And so I thought, for my demographic, and I have a little bit of an older demographic, my demographic, it's even harder because a lot of us have, you know, mortgages and kids in school and all that kind of stuff. We might be starting a second job at it, and we can't quit our life and go to New York to, you know, live in a tiny hotel or tiny apartment with a bunch of other guys, learn how to be a photographer. We just can't do it. So I said, I don't want to do one of those classes where it's like, tomorrow's assignment is shoot a yellow string, or tomorrow's assignment is, hold on, we got some people here. We're going to do something like tomorrow's assignment is, you know, leading lines and stuff. There's plenty of places for that. I wanted to create something that was very real and very, well, reality-based, real-world assignments. So we have put together 52 assignments, and they cross a lot of different genres. The reason we do that is because I find a lot of people who go into this have only ever shot one thing in their life. Maybe they like to shoot cars. Maybe they like to shoot food. Maybe they like to shoot fashion. They've never tasted anything else. Well, if you're a photographer and you're in New York City, you can get away with doing just one thing. But if you're a photographer in Topeka, Kansas, or Oklahoma City, or Indianapolis, you can do one thing really well, but you better be able to do a couple of other things too. And the reason is two words: cash flow. If you know, in New York City, you can be a large format, natural light food shooter. But in Kansas City, if you were a large format, natural light food shooter, and that's all you did, you'd starve. If you got every job that came your way, you'd starve because there's not that many. So we got to be able to do a little bit. And we found Paola Thomas, when she started the class, she was a portrait photographer, and now she's a very successful food photographer. I can think of, probably if I sat here long enough, I could think of a couple of other dozen things. Stephen in Fredericksburg, he thought he wanted to be kind of a wedding portrait photographer, and he started doing this, and now he is a commercial photographer in Fredericksburg, makes full-time living at it. We have several full-time photographers, well, not several, many full-time photographers who came out of this thing, and really ended up with a powerful portfolio and a powerful knowledge of how to do business. So that's what we do. I wanted to share a screen with you just a little bit here. Let me get over here. All righty. Project 52 kind of looks like this. We've got some videos. We've got resource videos. This assignment that's here is not due for 2 weeks. So in the new Project 52, the one you guys are coming into, if you're interested in coming into it, it'll actually be 3 weeks out. So you always can see the assignment that's coming 3 weeks out and be prepared for it. I want to show you some of the assignments that we've done. Assignment archives here. This is where all the assignments go. Editorial illustration for a musician. Wet. Portraits for a healthcare brochure. Recipe for an airline magazine. An industrial beauty shoot. Portrait of a musician. Perfect picnic. Pizza. I mean, pizza. If you look around, you'll see a lot of photographs of pizza. You might want to be able to know how to shoot pizza. Women's shoes, the #1 accessory, still, jewelry. So we do take real life assignments. We give them to you. We give you some instructions. We give you some parameters around it. In other words, we give you a brief the same way a art director would give you a brief, and we discuss it, and then you have 2 weeks to do the shot. But you get an assignment every week. You have 2 weeks to do it, but you get an assignment each week, so you're always working on that 2-week assignment. It's intensive. Some shots take a couple hours. Some shots take more. You might be set up for 2 days to get a good product shot or still life shot. And then we have the community over at Facebook, and the Facebook community is really active. And what's fun about the Facebook community is once you're in, you're in. We have a lot of people in the Facebook community, and a lot of people who are still working photographers and all kinds of other ancillary positions, and they're all in here. Right now we have a workshop going on called Splash, and we have people working on their splash photography. Here's ducks. This is James. I don't see James here. He was going to be here. I don't see him here. All right, sorry about that. James is a working photographer, and pretty cool. Oh, James is here. So I'll ask him about this shot here in a minute because he set up a new challenge. As a matter of fact, James, thanks for joining us here. I've got James here and Brett. So if any of you guys, anybody here want to ask questions of somebody who's done it already, well, these are the guys. James, I want to ask you a question. You there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Tell us about this shot.
Okay, so I have a really good friend who is a magazine editor, and they deal with beauty and fashion and all of that. And this was last year. He went out to Cosmoprof, which is the largest trade show dealing with fashion and beauty. It's out in Vegas every year. And he came back with samples. And what he wanted to do was promote some of the companies that were there that gave him samples to test out and rate reviews on, things like that. So the challenge was, can you get 80 things into one shot so that I can read all the labels? That shot took me about 4.5 hours to set up. It was done in a single exposure, and it was a lot of back and forth to shoot it, check and see, oh, you can't read this label, we have to move this over, we have to bring something in to highlight a label here, we have to put a flag there, and it was a lot of back and forth until we arrived at the image.
Now, the reason I brought this up is this is a fairly typical commercial shot that all of us do, but rarely do we put something like that in our portfolio, right, James? This isn't going in your book.
No.
It's just what you do. They pay you to do this.
On rare occasion, I will show this. On rare occasion, I'll show this to a client just as kind of a proof of competency type thing.
Right. Yeah, you've got to have a creative portfolio for them to see. But in reality, there's a lot of work just like this. And that's what we call bread and butter, cash flow work.
It's amazing too, because everybody wants to see your magical, dramatic lighting with models and flowing red dresses and all that, so that they know you're good enough to shoot their widget on a white background.
Yeah.
They won't hire you if you don't have that crazy stuff, but they don't want you to shoot the crazy stuff. They want you to shoot their box of crap on a white background.
Over a little over 2.5 years, I did over $45,000 with a company shooting garage door openers and opener parts. And I was happy to do it, folks. It's like, why not, right? That's what I'd rather do that than another job. It's not creative. It's not, terribly, all that awesome. You're not going to stick it in your portfolio or anything, but that's what you do. So we've based these assignments on real life assignments. Some assignments that I get, sometimes I'll go out and I'll grab a magazine and I'll flip through it and I'll look at ads, etc. We just did a class with chocolate somewhere back here, and I thought it was recently. Maybe it was farther back. We did this chocolate thing, and the student work actually came out way better than. Yeah, here we go. The student work came out better than a lot of the ads we see in the magazine. It's hard to shoot chocolate. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know how to finesse it. You got to know how to clean it up. We use a little known, it's always used for fashion. It's called frequency separation. And we use frequency separation to clean up chocolate, and clean up steel and metal, and tires and wheels and cars. It's pretty interesting. So it's a great class. We have, it's a small group. It's not going to be overwhelming. I don't want it to be. I have no desire to be the biggest teacher online ever, because I don't want to automate anything. I don't want to have classes that run without me. I want to be involved. I want to know who you are. I want to be able to help guide you, or at least help show you how you can find your own way. I want to introduce you to Brett Doss real quick. Hey, Brett, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir? Can you hear me?
You're a little faint.
Okay. Yeah, I was having a little unmuting problem. Is that better?
Yeah, a little better. Brett's up in Seattle. So we got Jim in West Palm Beach and Brett in Seattle. That's about as wide as we could go, isn't it?
It's cooler here.
Yeah, we just need somebody from Kansas City, I guess. And we have a shooter in Kansas City. Took the class 2 years ago, and he's a full-time photographer and specializes in musicians, classical musicians. Two of those. We've got Rob Davidson, a full-time shooter in New York, classical musicians, and I'm gonna struggle with his name, Lowell in Kansas City, who does the Kansas City Opera and the ballet and the symphony and all kinds of things. So Brett's up in Seattle, and you're not a generalist. You're a tabletop and people shooter, right?
Slightly general, but yeah, pretty much product, some food, and people. I'll be doing a internet package for a coffee shop, a coffee roaster in a couple months. I do a lot of tabletop for Goodwill. And most of what I do for Goodwill is going down there and shooting some gently used donated items that are kind of high value pieces in terms of brand name or something like that for an annual sale that they have. And what was one of part of how Project 52 helped me is I frankly just couldn't do that work if it wasn't for the training I got in Project 52 and from Don, but also very specifically because some of the assignments that we got when I was doing it were jewelry. That turns out to be a big thing they like to shoot at Goodwill, and shoes is another one, and handbags. And then one of the assignments was for watches, and I spent probably, I don't like to say it out loud, but I think it took me 8 hours to light my first watch properly, to get it in a single shot. And then, so I did that one, and then I cursed a lot, invented some new words, I think, and then I did a second one, and it took me about a third of that time. And then on one of the Goodwill shoots, for the first time ever, they had a fancy watch that had been donated. It was used and had dings in it, but they wanted it photographed well for the promotion. So I told them, wow, watches take a while. But we saved it till the end so I could use up whatever time was left rather than spend too long on it and not get the other pieces shot. And because I had done the watches on Project 52 about 3 months before, I already knew what didn't work. And so with the help of my assistant, we got that watch shot in a reasonable way for the use in 19 minutes. And
Yeah.
my client was really happy about that. It's not a shot I would use in my portfolio because it's a kind of a dinged up watch, and you, for Goodwill stuff, you can't retouch scratches and scuffs and things. You can try not to light them, but you can't, fix them. So
There's there was I did a YouTube video today. For those of you who follow my channel, I did a YouTube video talking about the changes in our world, our photography world, and one of the changes is our magazines are getting smaller. And some photographers are very worried about that. I'm not worried about it because as the magazines get smaller, other platforms get bigger. And as those platforms get bigger, guess what? They need more photographs than the magazines did. So think of it. Think of it this way. Think of Vogue magazine. Vogue hires a photographer to go out and do an editorial. Maybe that's 10 shots. They're going to give 10 pages. The fashion editor puts the clothes together. If you are a fashion designer, you can't get in Vogue unless Vogue blesses you with their holy water or whatever. They're a middleman. They're gatekeepers. you can't get there. So they filter it and filter it again and filter it again because they have a limited amount of paper that they can do. And so only X amount of photographs can be made. But in reality, now, today, a fashion designer in Topeka, Kansas can compete with a fashion designer in New York City or Paris, France on the internet. And they need better pictures, more pictures. And I'm just specifically talking about fashion because I just read this article about Vogue. September Vogue is very small, and September Vogue is usually about yay thick, and now it's the same thickness as August Vogue. So changes everywhere. But that's a tremendous opportunity for us because we have more platforms to be out there. I can imagine that many of you will be shooting for clients for their Instagram account. You'll be shooting for clients for their Snapchat account. And I don't mean 10 years from now. I mean within the next 12 to 14 months, we're going to see a huge shift. Clients are spending, well, a full-page ad in Vogue is between $45,000 and $60,000, depending on what part of the magazine you put it in. $60,000 for one ad in one issue. And if someone flips by it, they miss it. 60 grand. Do you know how many images you can get for 60 grand to stick up on Instagram? You could hire some pretty top. I mean, James, what you could 60 grand if you put half of that into production and half of that into your fee.
Oh, I've done it for clients already. Both of my alligator guys, I've done library shoots for them to be able to promote things on social media. And the idea is they'll pay me a day rate. We'll shoot whatever we can shoot in a day. And then we'll retouch everything out so that it's all cohesive. And they'll dribble it out for the next year.
That's where marketing is. And I know a lot of people think that the term influencer marketing is, evil, and always we think of young millennials traveling around, but that's not it either. I use this statistic in YouTube. One of the most popular TV shows ever to be on television was Lost, which was 10 years ago, I guess?
Yeah.
Lost had 11 million viewers. Mike Rowe has a little show on Facebook. One of his episodes has 30 million viewers. Another one has 25 million viewers. That's huge. A successful TV show today is 2 million to 2.5 million viewers. That's a successful TV show. Mike Rowe puts out a little show on Facebook, gets 25 million views in a month. The platforms are changing. If you were going to spend money, if you're an advertiser and you want to spend money, do you want to put it on something that 2.5 million people see? And my other question is this: how many of you guys watch commercials? Nobody watches commercials. We look at our cell phone during commercials. We're checking Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram on commercials. We're not watching commercials anymore. Another place where things are changing drastically. The advertisers are going to say, well, if everybody's looking at Instagram instead of my commercial, I'm going to go to Instagram. And commercial television with advertising is going to be in the same boat as magazines. Well, they already are. They're hurting because Amazon will give you the whole series right now. You can sit down and watch Bosch. You can watch it from beginning to end with no commercials. But you're on Amazon, and chances are you might want to, as you click off that, you might want to go buy a refrigerator or something from Amazon. So they know what they're doing. And I think that we photographers are going to be in a position where we have a lot more opportunities to shoot without the filter of the magazines than we do now. So I don't see it as less jobs. Initially, it's going to be less jobs for the old guard, but the new guard, man, they're ignoring it and coming up big. Just because some of us are little gray haired. I see Chuck's sporting that gray hair. Brett doesn't sport any hair at all. James has got a few grays there.
Oh, I got more than a few.
We can be at the forefront. You don't have to be 22 to do this. You can be 50 and do this, 60 and do this, because the internet doesn't care. The market doesn't care. Where if you're a 55-year-old person, 55-year-old guy, and you've never shot fashion before, getting in to see Vogue, good freaking luck. The kids that you're going to talk to are the age of your grandkids, and they don't want to hire grandpa. But when you're out in the world of this stuff and you're competing on the world stage, nobody cares. Nobody just doesn't. They don't care at all. So it's going to be a great time for photographers. I really, really believe it.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
Speaking of fashion, you don't need to go to Vogue to make money in fashion.
No, not at all. You're right.
One of the things, I dropped a little teaser on Facebook this morning. This is a big editorial shoot that we're going to do. It's a collaboration between me, a designer out of LA who's currently in the United Arab Emirates, and a local art gallery. And the reason I was chosen over all those young kids is because I've shot with these models before, and they went, "He's your guy. You got to get this guy." And the designer looked at my work and he went, "Yeah, I love it. I want to work with you." And I'm old enough to be the designer's grandfather.
You know what happens with Project 52 photographers, or let's just say, let me back up. What happens with trained photographers who've been doing this for a while? They can compete with young people because their attention to detail is so strong. Not all young people are this way, but so many are, I'll just shoot crap and I'll fix it in Photoshop. Well, a lot of clients don't want you to do that. They want you to shoot it right, then tweak it in Photoshop. And that's what we do. That's a good point, James. And one of the things I want to say, and Brett will back me up on this, I'm sure. When you're doing a pour shot these days, where you're pouring a beer into a glass, if you're shooting for Anheuser-Busch, you're probably going to do 150 pours. You're going to get, every bubble in the glass is going to be put in by Photoshop. I mean, it is going to be taken apart 60, 80 layers of that stuff to get that beer shot, because it's that precise. But if you're doing a beer shot for a local restaurant, they don't have the money to pay you for that. Because you're not a charity. You're not going to go, "Oh, no, don't worry, I'll shoot this. I'll spend a half a day shooting this, and then I'll spend a day putting it together, for $500. You're not a charity. So they don't have enough money to pay you. So what we do is we say, okay, this is how you do it. This is white card behind, and how you make the pour, and how you do the bottle, and all these things. So you can get a really decent pour shot, really decent, right out of camera. Boom. Yeah, you're going to go in Photoshop and fix the pour a little bit and things like that. But that's why they're paying you $500 instead of $10,000. For $10,000, they get a $10,000 job. For $500, they get a $500 job, but it should still be excellent. So we teach to that level. Eventually, you'll figure out how to do 50 layers and all that kind of stuff, but you want to be able to do those, spa ads. My friend shoots for spas and resorts, and every single shoot's got a beer pouring or a martini pouring or shots of liquor. Every single one of them have 2 to 3 shots of beverages, and he doesn't have the time or money. They're not paying him enough to do total studio process 50-layer shots. So he does just killer stuff right in the camera. That's my belief and how I train the photographers. What we focus on is to get it right in the camera as best you can, as absolute best you can. Then you can go into Photoshop, fix it up, no problem. It's just a different way of thinking about the job. I want you to think about it from a practical standpoint, and practicality says. There's a YouTube video on about a guy shoots a watch and then he redoes the retouching, and the retouching takes about 2.5 hours. Have you seen that, James? I can't think of the guy's name. I've seen it once.
I haven't.
I mean, he takes the numbers off each one, cleans them up, puts them back on, and in Photoshop, large format capture, medium format capture. So it's just detailed as hell. And I would say to you, yes, you want to be able to do that down the road, but you're not going to do that for the local jeweler. Are you kidding? He's going to pay you $500 a shot, and you're going to do a $10,000 photograph for him? No. The other thing is, right out of the shoot, you're not going to be hired by Cartier to shoot their watches. Pretty much guarantee that. You got to go from A to B to C to D to E to F. You got to work your way up to Cartier. It doesn't take forever, but you still have to work your way up. So it's a real practical way that I go for it. So
Yeah, that's really important, is that a lot of guys get hung up on copyright and licensing and all of that. When you start out, you're going to be shooting for mom and pops.
mhm.
You don't need to waste an enormous amount of time explaining the intricacies of international licensing and all of that stuff.
Well, you'll
You're
scare
gonna
them away if you
price,
do that.
you're going to let them use the shot.
Yeah, mom and pops are gone if you start throwing that stuff at them. And you don't need to anyway, because they're not going to use the image for anything else than you gave it to them, except they may stick it on their Facebook page. They're mom and pops. They got a bed and breakfast. Stephen in Fredericksburg, he's got a nice little line of bed and breakfasts that keep him pretty busy because things change. You start bringing up copyright with those people, and they're going to want to know what the hell you're talking about, and they're going to think, well, I bought this picture from you, I thought. Now you got to figure, now you become a teacher, and that's not what we need to do. There's places to talk about it and places not to talk about it, and we do that as well. So
Yeah, there's a big difference between shooting a Delta faucet for Joe's hardware store, shooting a Delta faucet for Home Depot, and shooting a Delta faucet for Delta faucets.
Yep.
And that goes back to what you were saying about the beer pour. You're not going to do a Delta faucet shot for Joe's hardware.
Nope.
And you're not going to screw them over with licensing and all that other
Nope.
stuff.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. It's self-defeating. So, hey, thanks, James. So we've got Alton and Chuck and Jimmy. Gene, you have any questions?
No, I'm learning a lot.
Good. Gene, you're in the splash class, right?
No, I'm in the
No, you're in
fashion class.
fashion class.
Yes, I am.
Yep. I'm going to. I hope that I can unmute you and say hi to you. Virginia, can I unmute you and say hi? Hello.
Good.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You can hear me all right then?
I can. Where are you calling in from?
New Zealand.
Oh, hey. If you joined, it'd be my first New Zealand.
Really?
I got several Aussies.
Oh no, they're different species.
Yeah. It's beautiful there. I will say that New Zealand's on my bucket list here. It is on my bucket list.
So you come over.
I want to so bad. Thanks for coming in tonight. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was just trying to find out when you were talking earlier about to Jean, and she was doing a particular part of the course. The Project 52, is that everything, includes everything from tabletop, food, still life?
Yes. Yeah, we have tabletop, food, still life, product, a little architecture with a small a. We're not going to jump into shooting, big buildings and that type of stuff. But let's say you're a food photographer. You probably need to know how to shoot a restaurant as well, right?
Right.
You may not have to go and shoot buildings for architects, but if you're working in the food industry or shooting liquor for a bar, being able to shoot that bar and do a nice, decent job is very important. You also have to know how to shoot a barkeep or bartender. Or if it's coffee, you better know how to shoot a barista. So a little bit of people in there as well. We touch on fashion, but we also have little rabbit holes through the class this year where we really will get you involved. If there's going to be a little fashion rabbit hole, and there'll be a little beverage only rabbit hole that you can go down. So we'll keep you really busy, but we also give you some options where we have 52 assignments, but they'll probably be those are the ones that we do weekly, but there'll probably be another 25 classes on here that are like optional. So
Okay, because the photography that I'm having to shoot is boring widgets and make them look sexy.
You're shooting what now?
Boring widgets, and I have to make them look sexy.
Well,
They're agricultural products.
yeah, my goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the assignments we give, you'll like this. One of the assignments that we give is one of those power strips, where you plug in.
Yep.
Probably the most mundane thing on the planet. They're like $2.99 at Home Depot, right? Just hanging there. And you have to take that power strip and you have to make a really beautiful, interesting, eye-grabbing shot of a power strip. If it's a clear day and you're at Mount McKinley, you can get a pretty good shot of Mount McKinley reflected in the lake. So can, my wife and my daughter and the guy across the street and anybody who shows up there that day. But a power strip, that's where things get dicey. That's where the real fun comes in. Thanks for joining, Virginia. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Alton Knight. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you, Don? Can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you calling in from, Alton?
Great. I'm outside of Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
And
All right. Are you near Frederick?
I'm about 40 minutes away from Frederick.
Okay. Got 3 students from Frederick. One of them moved up to New York, and Bill moved down to Florida. So Frederick, I've never had but 1 from Baltimore and 3 from Frederick. I don't know why that is.
Okay. Well, hopefully that's something that will change in the near future. I've been at a little bit of a crossroads with photography. It's something I've been very interested and engaged in for a number of years, but it's never been kind of my mainstay. But I'm at a crossroads with my career path, and I'm looking at making this more the forefront of what I want to do going forward. So it's
very cool.
This assignment 52 is kind of a jump in, feet first, get right into it approach, and so I'm excited by it and a little reticent at the same time about
I understand
whether I can really take it on. So I've been engaged in some of the webinars and materials. I'm on your list, and I've been on this list for probably 3 or 4 years, and I think it's kind of now or never.
Oh, very good. When I first started this, I had a young man, younger than me, but he had retired from the Coast Guard, but he was still on retainer with him. That's Stephen Collins up in Fredericksburg, and Stephen was terrible. And Stephen, we laugh about it. Stephen was, I'd the class would come on, and I'd look at the images, and I'd just go, "Oh God, I can't. I don't know what I'm going to do with Stephen." But you know what he did? He stuck with it, just like glue. He did every assignment, and if I told him what it could be, make it better, he started to slowly get it. And now he's a full-time photographer, and he's quite good. But it was funny because he was in the same class as Hiram Chi. And Hiram is a beauty fashion photographer in Santa Cruz. And Hiram was also just, just the nicest guy in the world, but I didn't want to see his pictures because they were so terrible. And I didn't know how to get him, how to critique him. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And we don't do that, by the way. We don't do angry critiques. We do positive critiques. And Hiram would come on, and one day, he had a shot that was like killer. And then the next week it was killer. It's like something went on, light bulb came on, and he got it. And he's not a full-time photographer. He could be, but he's not. He's got his own business. But he shoots whenever he wants and gets jobs whenever he wants to get a job. He's got a job. So it's pretty cool.
Well, great.
Thanks.
Well, I'm looking forward to continuing along that path myself, and I appreciate some of the inspiration that you provided, as well as some of the other alumnus in the program. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. How about Chuck Burke? Chuck, are you there?
Don, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you very much. I'm actually looking at your picture of what I presume to be sunrise at Haleakala on Maui on the Project 52 Pro website. Under enrollment info.
Oh, that's not my picture. I've never been to Hawaii.
Oh, well, you should come down. I've got an air-conditioned room and lots of lights to play with.
Oh, cool. So you're in Maui?
I am on Maui. I found you through Creative Live, and I have to say that my wife hates you. Because since I had that Creative Live, took that Creative Live course, it's like, you got to get this and you got to get that, because how many tripods do you need? One more than you've got. And how many clamps do you need? One more than you've got.
Absolutely. I see James Eisel smiling right above you.
So I really enjoyed that course, and that's what brought me to your system. And the reason I'm interested in it is because, well, two things. It's difficult to find a mentor. People just seem to not really want to share, or at least the people I've come across. And I need a little bit of focus, no pun intended, but I'll get out and I'll get really excited about shooting, but then I set it aside because I got to put the dining table back and put all the lighting gear back and pull out all my white cards back. And then I just don't want to pull this out. So what I really need is, somebody to, all right, we're shooting this today, go do it. And that's where my interest comes from.
Good. We try to keep it as real as possible, Chuck. And one of the things that I think all the I won't speak for all of them, but many of the students would say is this is kind of a group mentorship. It's not really a tutorial. I would prefer to mentor everybody. That's why I keep it small group. There's not like going to be hundreds of people, folks. I mean, there's going to be 20, because I want to know everybody. I want to work with people. We have a thing called remote art direction. So you can set your laptop off so you can shoot tethered, right?
Yes.
Then with Zoom, you can share that screen with me, and you can take your phone, dial in with your phone and put your phone there so I can see your set and I can see the shot you're making. And I can help you even though I'm on the other side of the Pacific from you. So, and that's open for all the students. We can work together and make those things happen. And it's a great learning experience.
I like that option. The other option is I've got an air-conditioned room right next door. if you ever decide you want to come down.
Well, it's nice to know that that I might have a place to stay if I go there. Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I figured you just got to get past my wife that doesn't like you because I've had to go spend money on clamps and tripods.
Well, yeah, but remember, I didn't say I had to buy cameras, so I kept the price item small.
Yeah, I'm just
I
pulling.
didn't say anything about having to have a Hasselblad with an 80 megapixel back or any of that kind.
Oh, that wasn't you?
No, don't blame that one on me, friend. No. But if you have one and you obviously have to get rid of it because you want to keep your marriage together, you can just send it to me. I'll send you my address.
All right, I'll go to the post office as soon as we're done.
I'll watch for it. All right, thanks for being here, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Pleasure, Don. Nice to talk to you.
You bet. Jimmy Tolliver. Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How you doing?
Good. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Good town?
It's okay. I'm not originally from here, so it's kind of weird to me.
Where are you originally from?
I grew up in Michigan and lived in Chicago for a long time.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like downtown Chicago, but more laid back.
And a lot more spread out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I basically started my career in Hollywood on not Sunset. On Western. I was on Western.
Oh.
And little shop there.
I'm actually not too far from there. It's like half mile away, probably.
Way different. They call it the Melrose District now, right?
Yeah, down by Melrose, like Western and Melrose area.
Yeah, that's where I was. I was near Melrose and Western, but I was on Western.
Like Hollywood and Western.
Yep. Just crazy.
Small world, right?
Yep. Do you have any questions?
Not particularly. I just kind of came across you recently. I was one of my friends has a little company, and he asked me to shoot some product type stuff, and I did that, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. So I started kind of looking around at what's out there for basically kind of figuring out how to shoot more product stuff.
Well, one of the other things, and we do have people in this assignment, so you'd be shooting some people. But one of the things that's neat about product and still life is that you can do it any time of the day or night. You're not, stuck on a schedule.
Yeah, that's kind of what's appealing to me because I do some headshots now and more portrait type work. So.
And this one, because you do headshots and portraits, this one you're really gonna like. Still life never doesn't show up.
yeah, that's what I thought I might like is, I'm like, sometimes I'll be sitting around, I'm like, I want to try this out, and I can just try it versus.
Yeah, and you can leave it set up for
calling someone up,
You can leave it set up for 2 or 3 days while you keep trying different things.
Yep.
So yeah, very cool. Thanks for calling in.
Yep, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
And last we have Pierre Bernard. Pierre, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you?
Okay, and yourself? Thank you.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm from Chicago, but I'm currently in Indianapolis.
Oh, Indianapolis.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Chicago though. I've just been down here for this year.
I had a studio in Chicago.
Yeah, I heard you just talking about it. And
I started in LA. I started in Phoenix, and then I realized that I was such a talented photographer that LA needed me.
Yeah.
They needed me.
Right.
So we sold the house and moved to LA and found out actually they really didn't.
Okay.
they had plenty. And I was, a big cheese in a small pond, and I got over there, and I was a small cheese in a big pond, and I just started. What I did was I just started assisting.
Oh yeah.
I was one of the very first assistants in LA to have a beeper. So if that
Okay.
doesn't tell you how old I am.
Yeah, it tells me how busy you were too.
I had a beeper and a French woman who was an answering service.
Uh-huh.
Um,
That was nice.
and I assisted Albert Watson.
Oh wow, yeah.
Jacques
One of my favorites.
Leon, some really big name photographers when they weren't so big name, but Albert was still pretty big even when he was a young man starting out. He was pretty good size. And James, Bush, all the guys, and I just learned like a sponge.
Wow.
And got to meet clients, and
Yeah.
that was the other part of it. So that was a lot of fun. Then I came back to Phoenix. Set up my shop here, put a satellite shop in Chicago to do catalog. That was fun. Then had a little place in New York that I tried the New York market. And as much as I like New York, I didn't want to live there. I'm a Phoenix boy. I mean, I like the desert, sea
Right.
forever. And New York was like a big claustrophobic.
Like Chicago 20 times over.
Yeah. And I like Chicago a lot. I like Chicago better than New York, actually.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, really did.
I went to New York and it's like, wow, for some reason I really like it.
Oh, I love to visit. I love to visit.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure I'd want to live there.
No, I don't want to live there.
We lived. We had a studio that was 2 blocks off Rush Street.
Oh, okay.
So you know where we
state.
ate dinner, right? Every night, right?
Faces
Happy
or
hour,
something?
baby.
Okay.
Happy hour.
Okay.
In
Wow,
those
yeah,
days
that's
they
a
had-
bustling area there.
But I don't know what it's like now, but in those days they'd have like burgers and tacos, and I mean they just really throw out the food there at happy hour. So you'd go in and buy a beer here and get some tacos and a beer there and get a burger, and you stuffed and.
Yeah. Are you talking about like around 70?
A little later than that. No, it was actually 80 and 81.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Another decade. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have any questions?
Yeah. You just mentioned. So this will include like some headshots, huh?
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about corporate headshots, beauty headshots, like shooting a musician for an album cover, and exploring all the different ways you can do that.
Yeah.
But and then all the traditional lighting, beauty lighting, clamshell lighting, horizontal clamshell lighting. In the fashion class right now, I have separate classes on lighting essentials. It's 8 weeks just focused on fashion. Well, one of the great lighting schemes that I've ever seen is Patrick Demarchilier's big umbrella, slightly off axis of camera.
Yeah.
So the umbrella still comes back around and covers camera axis. Okay, so the umbrella's over here, slightly off axis here, right? And then the second umbrella is small and down below it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just
Filling in.
killer.
Yeah.
Really killer.
He
And
still
Demarch-
does it too, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been doing it for 40 years. And he's one of the rare ones. He'll put a black card. He doesn't use white cards. He uses black cards. So the light wraps all the way around the face until it gets right to about here, and it just goes black.
What do you think? What do you think about, or how would you contrast that with somebody like Coulson, Peter Coulson?
Peter Coulson stuff's more. How do I? It's
I mean, I've seen him do that, with the umbrella downward, kind of like Demarchillier stuff.
Yeah. I think looking at two people who do the same thing would be Demarchillier and Arthur Elgort.
Okay.
Because Elgort will put the same lighting, but he'll put white cards.
Okay.
And so you can see that. There's a lot of, there's so many different ways to do headshots. So many different ways. and you want to find a way that works for you and something that makes sense, something where you put a little stamp of yourself on it, but you're also always dealing with the agents. If you're dealing with modeling agencies, they're your client, not the girl.
Right.
They're your clients. So you got to please them. They got to have a style they want you to work within, some parameters there. So
Yeah. So a whole range of assignments, huh?
oh, it's a wide range. Wide range. We give everybody a, and here's the thing. You'll learn more from doing a still life shot that you can take to a headshot than you ever think you could.
Uh-huh.
Because it's light, it's form, it's texture, it's design, it's contrast, all of those things. The great fashion photographers were also incredible still life photographers, like Avedon, Irving Penn.
Yeah, I remember.
Watson.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember I first learned about you on Creative Live, and learned a lot when you were doing the lighting on there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did one on product and one on general lighting.
Yeah, I think I saw both of them. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. That's when they were like all day. You sit there all day.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I was there all day. I remember.
Right.
I remember they called for lunch the second day, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been interested in this, so I'm just I'm glad to have the opportunity. I missed I think you had a couple other ones over the weekend or something.
Yeah, I had one on Friday and then one on Saturday. The one on Saturday, the people who signed up for it that were not in Project 52, nobody signed up, but 6 or 8 of the Project 52 people did. So we had an hour and a half just chat.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, great. Yeah. All right. Well, let me just ask one more time. I'll let everybody go because it's coming up to dinner time for me, and some of you guys need to. What time is it in New Zealand, Virginia?
It's 2:00. 2:00 in the afternoon.
In the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 2:00 in the afternoon tomorrow, right?
Yeah. We're way ahead of you guys.
Think of that.
I can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow.
We're talking to somebody from the future. Oh man. Yeah, maybe you could check out the ponies for us and send us some winners.
Check out the lotto results.
Yes. We'll send you the papers. Hey, thank you, everybody. Any last questions from anyone?
No, enjoyed it very much.
All right. Well, thanks, Don.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out tonight. You made it a lot of fun. Glad to meet you and chat with you. Have a great experience in photography. And
is it filling up?
I hope to see you soon.
It's filling up?
All right.
Okay.
Yep, it is.
Okay. Thank you very much, Don.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.